And I think you've got some CDs outside for us. Okay, maybe. I like that answer, maybe. So my talk this morning is on freedom, and regardless of what Janis Joplin might have sung long time ago, it's just not another word. Not another word. I was thinking about poor Janis, she died way too early, what she would say about that song if she were here today. What she would say about Bobby McGee sitting around singing the blues. And I'm sure she would think, oh, that dusty, musty hippie, thank God I moved on from him. If you're going to be a hippie, at least you can have flowers in your hair and singing about going off to San Francisco. Who needs the blues? So freedom is important. Freedom, the idea of freedom. In fact, in the very first page of our textbook, Dr. Holmes, the founder of our teaching, he says, it is the inherent nature of humanity forever seeking to express itself in terms of freedom. Freedom and more freedom, that is our birthright. It's Spirit's plan for us. Freedom from every discord. And Dr. Holmes says we will all arrive there one day. No, not one of us shall be missing. We'll all make it there. And we'll do it by listening to that inner voice, our inner knowing, by turning down the volume of the world and going within to listen to that voice of inspiration. And for me, it's a voice and ideas that I can recognize because they're loving, they're inspiring, and they're encouraging. And when I get them, I know they've come from a place beyond myself, something greater, beyond my thinking. And they resonate. Now, Dr. Holmes says that this voice speaks to us of a life wonderful in scope, of a life beyond our fondest dreams, of a freedom which the soul craves. And what is the freedom that the soul craves? It's a union with Source. It's a oneness with Spirit. It's a partnership with your Creator. It's a closer walk with Thee. It's a knowing that we are not alone, that we don't have to do it all on our own, that we have a power of goodness, of compassion and joy, calling us to be more of what we've come to be more of ourselves, to step into that power and by our thinking and live a wondrous life. And when we make that decision that we're going to have that wondrous life and we contemplate what that life is going to look like, we magnetize those thoughts, we send them out into the universe. Dr. Holmes says a spirit alive with the Spirit of God, and they reflect back to us. Now, they often come back in 1,000 disguises. I was thinking of Joseph Campbell. His big work is he wrote of a hero of 1,000 faces. Well, I think often Spirit's miracles come to us in 1,000 disguises. And why do they show up as disguises? Well, I guess it's to keep us involved in the game. And oftentimes they show up in a way that we haven't contemplated. We didn't think of them looking like this. And I think it is because they come back to empower us. They come back to encourage us to grow. They come back to give us with more meaning and more understanding than what we had originally sent out to life. Life is marvelous when we allow it to be, when we acknowledge it and we support it. Last Tuesday, as I was getting back into my work schedule, like many of you, I kind of had a busy day. There were several things that I needed to do. The first thing that I had to do was to go to the county commissioners and do an opening prayer out at the county commissioners meeting. That's at 9 o'clock. And I always like going out there because the city of St. Augustine, they're a lovely little group of ladies, and they're very fashionable and very intelligent and very open and receptive. The county is run by a bunch of guys, and these are business guys, and they're in their suits, and they're uptight, and I think I scare them a little bit. Yeah. I think I'm to them like tofu is to me. I know it's good for me, but it kind of scares me a little bit. One day I want to take a rubber chicken out there and swing it over my head and see if I can get them running out from the auditorium one day. Now, they like me to come out there to do the opening treatment because what I do is I pray for something just very simple and practical, something that's going to help this day move forward. And so what do I pray for? I pray that the people there are going to come up and be respectful of the time of each other, because that's what they get. They get a lot of people coming up and talking about what's wrong in the county. And I also pray that people there will act like adults. Act like adults. Wouldn't that be a marvelous thing if all our politicians decided to start acting like adults? Yeah, I'm all for that. Now, after I finished up with the county commissioners, I had to set off to the Apple store. I have an Apple phone. I've had it for 6 years. And over the weekend, it decided to give up the ghost permanently. It was like, I am out of here. So I had never been to the Apple store in Jacksonville. I had put it into my navigational system, and I headed up. I was kind of a little unsure of the directions, but you know, the navigation system surely knows how to get me there. And so I got up way up to Jacksonville Beach, and I realized there are several, what is it called, Landmark Center or something? There are a couple of these in Jacksonville. Yeah, and so I had gone to the wrong one. And then when I put it back in the navigational system, the one I needed to get to was another 30 miles away. So instead of being flustered, I was like, all right, this is a nice little journey. I had spotted a Trader Joe's on my path. And I love Trader Joe's. I like the coffee you can get at Trader Joe's. I like the dog treats you can get at Trader Joe's. They have a shampoo. It's called a tea tree shampoo I really like. You use it and it's all very kind of tingly. You have to be careful not to get it mixed up with your body wash. That's a mistake you only make once. So I got in, I got all my supplies from Trader Joe's. I was a happy guy. I get to the Apple store. I walk in, and even before I'm into the store, a young lady who was working there, I think they call them Apple geniuses, and she had spotted me, and she had approached me, and she had her clipboard, and she was, asking me how she could help me, and she was just as nice and as friendly as she could be. Tattooed from one end to the other, but that's a battle we've lost, so, we might as well get over that. But she looked at my phone, and I showed her the phone, and I said, is there anything that you can do with it? Because I really thought they would be like, no, there's nothing here. And she looked at it, and she says, yeah, she says, we can fix this. And she says, the good news is it's not going to explode. Now, since it had been previously in my pocket, I did take a lot of relief from that. But what she told me was it was the battery, because the battery was the problem. And she said, well, no, we're not only going to fix this, we're going to give you a new iPhone. And that's what they did. She went in the back, she brought the new iPhone out, same model, but brand new, and she got it unwrapped, and she said, we can download all your information on it. So, you're going to have to hang out here for an hour and a half or so, but it'll be ready for you to go. And so I started the process, and the whole time that I was there, every 20 minutes or so, she would come back and check on me, just to make sure that it was, that my files were downloading. And for that hour and a half, I just noticed the store. And I noticed how hard these young people were working there. I mean, it's a busy, busy store. And all these young people are working just as hard as they can. They're friendly, they're knowledgeable, and they're handling a whole host of requests. Some of them reasonable and some of them totally unreasonable. And they're doing the best they can with all of it. And so when she came back to me at the very end of when we realized it was, that everything had gotten installed, I just told her how grateful I was for her, and that she had made what could have been not so pleasant, just really delightful. And she was just smiling from ear to ear when I left there. And I thought to myself, this is wonderful. This is joyous. This is great. And it had been a wondrous day, because I had started out by not allowing myself to get frustrated. It would have been very easy when I got lost in Jacksonville to get really frustrated, really irritated with the navigational system, get irritated with myself. And if I had done that, then guess what? I would have missed the sign for Trader Joe's. Yeah. And if I had allowed myself to be in a more playful and adventurous side of myself, which is a lot of times different than my normal mode. I can be kind of business and goal-oriented. But by being in that playful mode, I had spotted Trader Joe's, I'd had fun there, and then I got to the Apple store, and I was in a good, friendly mood. And I passed on the blessings that had come to me. I passed them on to her, made her day better, made her day easier, so she was able to pass on the blessings even further. When we are able to acknowledge the blessings that we have coming through us, and we can pass them on, we're in a vortex of power, because we're allowing the blessings of Spirit to flow through us. And when they flow through our souls, our hearts, and our minds, they become more powerful. And then they go back out into the universe and they return. Just like the tide goes out, they come back, and they come back even more powerful, because this is the nature of the universe. This is how the universe works. What we release out comes back even more powerful. And this works through our love and joy. And dear ones, it works in our worry and our fear. It works as that as well. When we release worry and fear out into the universe, it comes back. Now, late in the week, when I had typical frustrations as well. I'd had this wonderful Tuesday, but later on in the week there were other frustrations. It wasn't like somebody had come into my life and just set the unicorns loose in my life. So there were other things that weren't so good. I had a friend that shared with me some news that really just kind of broke my heart, and there were other things that happened. And soon the experience of the Apple Store and Trader Joe began to be filed away into the recesses of my memory. It's very much like, you remember that last scene in the Raiders of the Lost Ark, where they found the Ark and they know how important it is, and they're telling them, the government says, oh yes, we're going to study this, we're going to figure this out, and the last scene is it's being packed away and hauled off in this huge government warehouse, never to be found again. Well, that's what can happen to our good memories. If we let them just slide away, they can go into these huge warehouses of memories to be lost forever. So we have to resurrect them. We have to breathe life into them. And we have to be willing to do our work through affirmative prayer to make it happen for not just ourselves, but our family and friends, the people around us, and the world. This is what we've come to do. And this is how we step into our power. And this is how we breathe life into the world. This is how we bring a new heaven, a new earth to our very lives. You know, I have a wonderful friend who's going through cancer treatment. And she has just turned 70. And her best friend that she's known since grade school has also turned 70. And the best friend has come into a lot of money. I mean, like, somebody willed her a building, not just a condo, an apartment, but a building, actually in Jacksonville Beach. And so her friend decided that she wanted to give Bev a really good time. And so what she's done is she's bought concert tickets to go see Paul Simon. Paul Simon is on his last final tour, and he's going to be in Atlanta. And this lady has not only bought them tickets, but bought VIP tickets so that they'll be, treated special, and they're going to have a little limousine ride, and it's going to be wonderful. Now, Bev has had a favorite song by Paul Simon. It's one you might remember. It's called Old Friends Booked Ends. And it's a song about friends who are 70 years old. And they're on a park bench, and they're just enjoying their time with one another. And she says it's kind of funny to thought that when Paul Simon wrote this, he probably was in his early 20s, but now he's at that age, and Bev and her friend are at that age. So they're going to get together, and they're going to make a little video of them on a park bench in Atlanta singing that song to one another. And so it's just going to be adorable. So this week, I've made it a point for myself. And you have to do this. It doesn't just come naturally. You've got to say, I'm going to do this. So I've made it a point this week that when I think of Bev, I don't think of her getting the chemo, because that's a natural thing to do for people you love. But I have insisted for myself that I see her and her friend going to that concert in the limo, having their little glass of champagne. I see them at that concert just, having a great time. I see them at that park filming the video, singing to one another, laughing so hard that sometimes they have to hold on to one another to catch their breath. That's the gift I'm giving Bev. And guess what? It's a gift that gives back to me. It gives back to me, it gives to Bev, it gives to the world. And we can all do this. We can all step into this formative work for each other. And then the third step we want to do, the triune nature of our blessings, is we want to do it for the world. Do it for ourselves. Do it for those people right around us. And do it for the world. And how can you do it for the world? Well, here's one simple task. Just look for great, inspiring, encouraging stories that you hear and pass them along. Right now our whole world is just frazzled with bad news, with turmoil and stress and strain. We all need a little bit of hope, a little bit of comfort, a little bit of joy and inspiration. I heard a story this week about a 99-year-old man, 99 years old. His wife is in a nursing home with Alzheimer's. He walks 6 miles a day to go see her. 99 years old, 6 miles a day. Has been doing it for 4 months. And they talked to him, and his daughter said, yes, there's a bus that goes right by him. She says, if I could get him to wait, I could take him after work. But when I ask him about it, he tells me, I don't have time. I'm getting to that hospital to see my baby. He calls her his cup of tea. I'm getting there to see my cup of tea. So let's make it our business to find those kinds of stories of hope and inspiration, of love and encouragement, and give as many of them as we can, because that's what's going to lift us up to a better knowing, a brighter day, a better possibility. We have to make the effort. Dr. Holmes says the universal mind is set in motion by conscious thought. And he says, therein lies our freedom. Conscious thought. The decision, I'm going to think better. The world may be this way, but I'm going to know better. I'm going to think better. I'm going to do better. He said to assert our individuality is to rise above the law of averages and to move us into a more specialized use of law, which brings freedom rather than bondage, joy in the place of grief, wholeness instead of sickness. Not to judge by appearances, but independently of any existing circumstance. We're bound so that we may be free, and the only thing that binds us is the thing that will set us free. And what will set us free is our ability to choose what we think about. And so few of us do. So few of us even know that it's important to keep a guard on what we think about. So what you're focusing on is what you're bringing to your life. My teacher, Kennedy Schultz, he would say over and over again, quote scripture over and over again, lo, the thing I feared the most is now upon me. What we worry about and dread, we are attracting to us. Our worry is the midwife to our problems. We are birthing them into existence. Inspiration is the angel wings of our joy, health, love, and prosperity. And we can join that mighty chorus when we aspire to know better for ourselves, for each other, and the world. When we step into that freedom and we step into that power. When we do, as Dr. Holmes says, put the prayer for our love, our health, and happiness into the mouth of God. To know that Spirit is praying for us to live in more joy, more happiness, more compassion, to look out in the world and say, this is good, this is godly. I'm about my Father's work. I'm about my mother's work. And I have more laughter to bring to this world, more kindness and more understanding. God and I have work to do. Mighty and glorious will be the product of our labor. And now is the time to put our hearts, our minds, and our hands to work to make our lives and the world a better place because we are up to it. You are God approved. You are Spirit ordained. Every desire and hope you have for love and joy and compassion is the voice of God calling you on, saying, yes, dear one, this and even greater. You are up to this task, and so am I. It's the truth in your life this morning. It's the truth in mine, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Well, gosh, maybe we need to turn the air conditioner down on a regular basis.